Before we start, I have a few words. They're short, I hope, and then we'll get to Ofri and her story. So good evening, everyone. I really appreciate you guys coming out, and thank you for joining us. I would like to give a big thank you to Malka Productions and Danielle, StandWithUs, Rabbi Margolin, and the Menorah Center of SF for making this happen. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to have Ofri here. There are moments in life that you remember exactly where and when you were when you heard the news. The news of 9/11, some of us remember JFK being shot, but I can confidently add another one, the morning of October 7th. I think Stevie Wonder summarizes music best. He says, music is a language we all understand with an equal opportunity for all to sing, dance, and clap their hands. And that is what makes music so powerful. But on that gruesome morning, a music festival celebrating peace and unity turned bloody. Instead of watching the sunrise, people were running for their lives. It's a scene I often play in my head over and over, and each time it makes me sicker. But with every tragedy comes resilience, and the Jewish people are no strangers to resiliency. That is what we define. We are the definition of resiliency. And our guest tonight is the prime example. Ofri has gone through the unimaginable. She was at the Nova Festival when Hamas attacked, and her brother fought on October 7th, and tragically, he passed away. Now she's sharing her story of healing, resiliency, and post-trauma growth. So it is my honor to welcome Ofri Reiner.
Thank you all for being here.
All right, so let's get to know Ofri. Ofri, I grew up in America, which is very different than Israel. What was life like growing up in Israel?
I am coming from Haifa. I don't know if you know, but apparently we're sisters. So I saw the bay in front of my eyes since I was very little. And I also climbed a lot of heights too. As a girl, my parents got divorced when I was about 7. And my dad remarried to a woman called Flor. Flor has 2 twin brothers, Omer and Shalev, and I have a little sister, Carmel. We became one big family. I was a girl of ideals, and I've grown about all my stories of my great grandmothers, the Holocaust survivors, since I was very little. And when I was 14, I went to Seeds of Peace camp, if you know. It's a camp in Maine where Israelis, Palestinians, Egyptians, and Jordanians were speaking about peace. And since I was in a very young age, I truly believed in peace amongst nations. And I felt like it was my calling to try to do so. When I went to combat, when I was 19, I volunteered to be as a combat soldier. I served 3 years in search and rescue, and I was a commander. I loved my soldiers from the bottom of my heart. And I did everything I could to hold both truths of the Israelis and the Palestinians, even when I was in the army. And I was very eager to express what I have and what I feel towards Israel, even now.
So was the Gaza Strip, the Re'im was pretty close to Gaza Strip. Was that ever like something you were scared of going, or was it just like normal?
I served at Zikim.
Okay.
My unit is at Zikim, and Zikim is a mile away from the Gaza Strip. So to me, it was nothing. Our culture of trans festivals is like you get the location one day before, like to keep the mysterious going. So we knew the location a day before, and we were just laughing about it. So if the rockets come, never mind. So yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
So take me through the festival. You're hearing about it. What are your thoughts? Like, is this a well-known festival in Israel, or is it just kind of like a smaller music festival?
Sorry, I'm getting comfortable. The Nova Festival was one of the biggest festivals in Israel. There were 3,000 people there. It's what was supposed to be 24-hour rave at the Gaza Strip, and whoever was involved in the trans culture was meant to go to the Nova Festival.
Okay, so that sounds like a ton of fun. I hear that the highlight of the Nova Festival was seeing the sunrise.
It's not just the Nova Festival. It just I can the good comparison I can make it is for like the Woodstock here or the hippies of the 1960s. We were kind of the same. Everyone's colorful, smiling, happy. Like the weirdest thing that I wish I would see in the streets, that you can look at one person, smile to him, and he will smile to you back. And it's not happening in the streets now. And like the set of the sunrise, it's the top of everything. And it's something we're all waiting for, because the drop of the music with the sun coming up and the colors changing in front of your eyes, it's like the night festival shifts into the day festival, and everything goes differently.
And so can you tell me about the events of the Nova Festival, the music? So the music's starting, you're getting there, you're setting up camp. What's it like?
I'll start even from before. The Nova was a very big festival. I bought the tickets way before. I was pretty new to the trans festival, all in all. I came with a good friend of mine called Nastya and one boy called Timur. And the only reason why I went to the Nova was because I had a crush on Timur. That was the only reason. He called me one day and said, "Hey, we are going to the Nova, you should come." And I was like, "Yes, of course, sure, why not?" Yeah, I bought a ticket, and what can I do? I bought my outfit from Shein like 2 months from before. I was doing my hair tinsel. I was very, very ready for this party. And we settled down. We made our own kanta, we call it in Hebrew. And we sat down and we arrived at around 12, about midnight. And then we were just starting hyping all up.
And so what was the music like? Like, we hear the songs on Instagram. Is it like, what is the scene of it? What's the energy there?
Sweat.
Sweat, that's fair.
A lot of sweat, a lot of BPM. And yeah, the music I think the music touched different people in different parts of the soul. And yeah.
Okay. And so let's go into the more serious moments. So it's 6 a.m. The rockets haven't quite been shot over yet, haven't been launched yet. What's happening?
6:29.
Yes.
The rockets started to come. To me, rockets are like peanuts, because to serve at Ziki means that I know how to prep my soldiers and how to prep myself for rockets. And when the rockets started to come, we all gathered around. Timur, the one I was telling you about, has his own post-trauma from his army service, which means that he got a panic attack. I remember his fists holding his hands until he was bleeding. He urged us all to get into the car. We stepped inside the car, and we went outside of the parking lot. We headed north. We went left. And like I said, 3,000 people, which means there was complete chaos everywhere. And while we were turning to the north, we started riding. We were in the most left lane, and we kept driving until we were one car before a white tender of the Hamas. It took us a few seconds to understand, and the tender was starting to shoot all over the lanes that was next to them. And we were behind them. So Aviad, the driver, made this call of his life and did a U-turn. We hit another car and we kept driving, just like GTA, just boom and going away. And we kept driving until we arrived to the entrance of Be'eri. And at the entrance of Be'eri, there was a civilian's car that stood on the side of the road. And we came forward and asked the driver what's he doing, what's going on. And he was looking at us, smiling, and said, "Hi, brother, do you remember the car accident you did in the north? That was me. Can we exchange details?" And we looked at him shocked. All the girls that was in the last row, he was yelling at him, "Do you think it's the right time to ask for details? I mean, it's very Israeli of you." And now I know that to act normally in unhuman conditions is very natural, and it was just his way to form the randomness of everything. But they exchanged the details. It happened. And by the time they were exchanging details, a car came out from the entrance of Be'eri and told us not to enter because there are terrorists there. So because of that, it was a straightforward miracle that I can clearly see. From Be'eri, when the north was blocked and the south was blocked, the only thing we could have done was to get back to the parking lot. And like I said, that I was a combat soldier, my only way of reaction was by operating, how to do it well and how to navigate. The first call was to my grandmother. She's a good Polish grandmother that is worrying the hell out of me. And the second one I called was to my dad. I said, "Dad, I have find my iPhone, open it right away and tell me where I'm heading." Now I know that my dad and my aunt was sitting with topographic maps and my phone and his phone, and they were seeing exactly where I'm heading. Not that it helped me in which way, but it gave them some sort of certainty while I was there. And now I think that my parents have gone through even worse than I do, because when your loved one is somewhere you can't control over, especially when it's your son, or your daughter, it's worse than actually being there. When both sides were blocked, we headed back to the parking lot, and we started driving back. We were in some kind of a narrow road. On the one side, there was a downhill and an uphill to some kind of a forest. On the other side, there was a big open potato field with soft soil ready to be seeded, so it was lined up in rows. And we were stuck for quite some time. And then I was very stressed. I couldn't speak about it because I felt like Timur was absorbing all the emotions in the car, and I couldn't. And so it came out very physical. So like every other woman, from stress, I had to pee. That was just my only way to react. I took my friend Nastya by the hand. I said, "Nastya, I have pee, come on." I took her. We went to the forest, and we were. I was trying to understand where should I do it so that they will not see me, but there were terrorists that spotted me and shot right towards us, and we were gliding back to the car and tried. There was some kind of silence, and then we kept driving on the car. Aviad tried to pull aside and to drive through the potato fields, but the car got stuck in one of the rows, and then that was the only way to act is just to do something. We all split apart. We were 5 people in the car. I took myself and a portable charger and ran all the way in the potato field. My friend Nastya came right before me. One friend called Yael got out of the car, and she was sure that she got shot, so she fell on the ground. And Timur started running, saw her laying down, came back to her and took her by the hand and just ran with her. From the adrenaline, you don't even know if you're being hurt or not. And Aviad hid in the forest for 6 hours. And this potato field is something that I remember in particular because it felt like it was mind and body moment. I twisted my ankle the day of the party, which means that every step I took in the potato field was moving my weight from one leg to another. So I couldn't look at anything but my next step. I knew that if I would fall between the cracks and between the rows, I would die. And so I looked only forward. Now I know that it was a miracle and it was my coping mechanism, because if I would stand and look right and left about everything that was surrounding me, I'm not sure if I would go on. I felt like a sitting duck there. It was just a huge potato field, about 400 people running in this direction. People are falling, injured, dead in the same potato field. And I was thinking to myself, I felt like my soul split up into two at that time. There was the one Ofri that coached herself in, kept telling herself, "You're gonna make it, you're gonna make it, you know you're gonna make it, and a few hours from now you're gonna drink cold Americano at your favorite cafe, don't worry." There was the other Ofri that thought that I had a fight with my sister the day before and I didn't call her. And I didn't say to her that I love her. So I promised to myself that if I will make it the potato field, I will call my mom to wake her up. We made it, and from that point on, we were hiding, walking, running silently for 11 miles, all the way towards Patish, one of the kibbutzim that was surrounding Reim. You're walking like that, about 1,000 people in the same direction, not knowing if you're getting further away or closer to the occasion. Behind us, the mushroom clouds of smoke. At some point, you would differentiate between the rockets and the missiles and the RPGs and whatever they shot there. But the only thing you hear is just tragic noise. I remember myself calling to my mom and speaking with her, and she heard shots, like shotgun, from the background, and she was asking, "What are you being? People are shooting at you?" And I said, "Yes, Mom, of course they're shooting at me. What do you think?" But it was me pulling out the cynical part out of me. And because she didn't know how to respond and I didn't know how to respond. By walking like that, dehydrated, the scorching sun over our faces, we were looking for water everywhere. We were trying to drink water from agriculture, but it wasn't meant for drinking. And then we arrived to a pomelo field. And we thought to ourselves, well, that's a big juicy fruit, and that's a good solution. So we started taking a lot of pomelos down. The only one who managed to peel one pomelo was Timor. He gave us all one slice. We ate our first bite and didn't have any juice in it. It was very disappointing. We threw it and kept walking until we arrived afterwards to an orange field. But the oranges were green, didn't seem like they're ready to be taken down. But I took the shot because what do I have to lose? So I took one orange from the tree, I peeled it off, I took my first bite, and it was the best orange I've ever tasted. It was sour and sweet, just in the right amount. And from the excitement, I was just telling everyone before me and after me, the oranges, atapuzim. And they were all starting to take a lot of oranges down and eat all of them. And that was right in the end. I mean, it was, we took this orange, and with this orange, we came to the first house we've seen. After quite some time, we walked only in the forest. So that was just always a reminder of hope for me. And from that point on, from Patish, there were civilians that did everything that they could for us to be better. We entered to some kind of a big shelter. People kept coming and coming, 500 people, and then more and more. The beautiful Israel is that people from the kibbutzim took their massive pots with chunt and jachnon and just gave us food because this is how we know how to bring love, by bringing food. and there were civilians that came and asked how they could help. There was one civilian that we brought him Aviad's live location, Aviad the driver, Aviad's live location, and he went back, took Aviad and two more girls, and this is how he survived. And from that point and on, there was a civilian bus that came, took as many survivors that they could, and brought us to around Be'er Sheva, like pushed us to the north. And then we kept forward. I arrived home at around 6 p.m. To my mother's home, to the warm embrace of my sister, Carmel, telling me that my beloved brother, my stepbrother, Shalev Dagan, is missing. About 3 days after the officers came and told us that he was dead. And it took a week and a half to bury his body. So me returning home from the Nova straight to a home when all I see is death, I felt like my soul was split up into two, because there was the one girl that just got her life back. I wanted so desperately to celebrate life because I got them again as a gift. I mean, I wanted to do something about it. But on the contrary, how could I even be happy about something when I see my brother, same day, the same time, I got my life back and he didn't. So I felt a huge amount of guilt of why him and not me. And I really feel like that was my rock bottom at that point. And there was 2 weeks of Shiva. And that's it. Shalev was an amazing brother. He has a twin brother, his name is Omer. Shalev was in Golani 51. He was one of the best soldiers in his unit. He became the great commander's right-hand man. And him, Omer Wolf, the commander, Maru Alem, another soldier, and Itai Zarbiv were all fighting for 50 minutes of battle in front of 1,500 terrorists. And thanks to them and to their bravery, Kibbutz Nirim was saved, and nobody entered Kibbutz Nirim. When they came to the entrance of Nirim and fought there were 3 soldiers that hid in the bushes and struck an RPG in Shalev's car. Shalev died right away. Maru Alem and Omer Wolf managed to pull out of the car. They kept fighting, and they died 10 meters next to the car. And Itai Zarbiv pulled out of the car and got shot in his chest, and he fell on the ground. They thought that he was dead, but the day after the soldiers came and he was injured, and he survived, and this is how we know this whole story. And if you'd look at the map, and I have my map in front of me, you'd see that at 7:18 Shalev died next to Nirim. At 7:18 I was in Reim, 10 kilometers away from him. And just to look at it and to understand that Shalev physically and mentally saved my life was something that I keep reminding to myself. That's it, basically.
I cannot imagine being in the middle of a potato field and being shot at, let alone going home and then being told that my sibling had died. How are you coping? What is helping you get through every day? Like how do you find like the strength?
Finding strength sounds like something you like an active because it is. I mean, you have to look for strength and you have to look for the place you'd see the light. Otherwise, I would collapse. I told to Maya when we were speaking that now I see my family falling apart. I see that the pain is so big that we can't see beyond that, beyond my own pain. But because I came from the Nova Festival Massacre straight to a home of grief, I feel like I'm the strongest person in the room right now and the strongest person in the family right now. Because I faced the fear of death and I'm here now. And so I'm just trying to grapple everything I have and every aspect of life that I have now and to find meaning to it. My meaning is being here and speaking in front of especially young adults that are my age. I mean, you're my age. I find it so important, and this is what's leading me towards growth, because I know that even though my pain is very big because I was bearing witness and I was the one from October 7th, you all have the same pain inside of you, and we're all linked in the belly button, no matter what we'll do. And if you're sitting in this room, it means that at some point October 7th touched you, and you're willing to do something about it. So by coming here, telling my own story with excruciating pain, but still, and with enough bravery for you to look me in the eyes, I hope that you can take something out of it and make something big out of it, because the battle is not in Israel, it's not just in Israel, and I believe that you see it too, especially here, especially in colleges, campuses, or in your day-to-day life.
So a lot of us in the community, in the diaspora, really want to do our part and support survivors like you, and just to support Israel in the face of a lot of scrutiny from the media and from college campuses. Being so far, being thousands and thousands of miles away from Israel, how do you think we best can support our brothers and sisters there?
That's a hard question, because I think that the only thing I want to say is look for yourself. But it's not just Israel we're talking about. Israel is a representative of the Jewish people, of the Jewish nation. You are a part of Israel too. And it's something that I want to come here and to remind you all, because by making this community stronger and by embracing your community and looking in the eyes and looking right and left to who you're standing with and who's suffering with you here from the other side of the globe about the Jewish people, there's a lot to do here, not just in Israel. In Israel, there's a lot being taken care of, and I believe that here in social media are very public, and the only thing that you can do from remote is only social media. But what you can actively make is just strengthen your own community and building something you can build and you can rely on. Otherwise, you will just be left alone. I mean, Jewish identity is something that requires community and requires someone, a shoulder to rely on. Like I was relying on my friends. If I would walk on the potato field or in the 11 miles by my own, I'm not sure if I would be able to make it. The fact that I had someone to care for, to think of, and the other ones has someone to think for me was the only way I could make it and I could maintain living.
I think a question maybe a lot of us have, I specifically have, is has the events of October 7th really changed your perspective on Middle East peace and on the Palestinian people?
I have a lot of different approaches to this question because I was dealing with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict for so long. Like I said, I was a very woman of ideals, and I truly believed that I can hold those two narratives together and to hold this pain of my own and the Palestinian pain. But when I see now that I have such radical empathy towards the other side, and they are mocking and celebrating murdering thousand people and kidnapping civilians, I can't reach a hand to a woman or a man who's pointing a gun towards me. And if there will be even a discussion about peace, it has to come mutually. And because it's not happening, I don't think that there is even open to discussion about peace.
All right, and before I open it up to any questions, what is one thing that all of us can do to take away from tonight and make a change or make an impact to our community regarding October 7th? So if we're going back to college campuses, or if we're doing, what can I do tomorrow that I haven't done today in order to help advocate for the Jewish people and for October 7th?
I can't come to your daily lives and bring your task. I mean, it's not homework. I just want you to sit with yourself and think, why are you here? Where do you come from? Are you coming out of guilt from what happened? Are you feeling like you need to participate in this pain? Or do you feel like you want to make a change, or you want to bring something better here? I'm not sure if I can answer this question like you're leaning into, but being active towards Israel when there's a lot of surroundings that will break it financially and communically and in every other aspect is the hard choice already, and it's something that we all should keep doing. Because normalizing boycotts over Israel, even in friendship, even socially wise, even in financial wise, it's a wrong thing to do.
All right, I'm hoping some people have other questions. Yeah, Garrett.
So you mentioned your parents are from Haifa, which is a city that also has a large Arab population. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the extent that you witnessed any changes post-October 7th in that community too.
So yes, Haifa is a city of coexistence. There's anything of everywhere, but Haifa is very mellow and little sleepy. So I didn't feel a lot of hostility, but there are a lot of places in Haifa that I can't enter now because I feel threatened. Places like Vadi Nisnas or Moshava Germanit, German colony, a lot of places that are more Arab populated, but the Arabs there in Haifa is, I think, less extreme than Jerusalem. So we see it differently.
Thank you for coming and sharing your story. What motivates you to continue to wake up each day and to share your story and to come to spaces like this and to do your best each day?
I am doing my best just to balance between having a good time and doing my art that I love and progressing and evolving in my self-improvement way. I just got back from the Ozora, if you know. It's a 12 days rave in Hungary. I was there with all of my survivor friends, which means that I will never stop dancing, no matter. And it's not even a phrase. I will never stop dancing. And I want to take my life to the place where I'm the most free and lovable and caring. And and on the other hand, also to infuse my life with meaning. And this meaning to me, being Israeli and wearing the yellow ribbon and being here and speaking about peace, about Judaism and about October 7th is what can bring me both things.
אני איריס ליינמן וגם אני מחיפה, אני גרה פה עכשיו. Question, I'm saying I'm from Haifa also. So 5 of you all made it through. Are you all friends, or is there a problem with flashbacks over that incident?
So there are two different questions to me. Yes, we're all friends. We are all bonded. We have nowhere to go together. I mean, we were all together. With Timor, we were together for, I know you probably thought of it in your mind. We were a couple for a few months, and it was good for that moment, but then we just became just friends because we have this shared trauma. All of us are very united, but everyone has its own way. After trauma, there's a lot of ways to cope with trauma. There's like a huge range of it. There's natural recovery. People can come out of trauma and will be okay with that, and it happens a lot, actually more than we know. There's post-traumatic stress disorder that you all know about, flashbacks and about its own struggle. There's post-traumatic growth. It's the place that I took it to grow out of it. And there's a lot of us are holding all those variations of coming out of October 7th. And flashbacks will always be a part of it, unfortunately. Even me, when I'm speaking about post-traumatic growth, flashbacks are still happening. Flashbacks will keep coming. It's just like I need to understand that it's in me, and every time it will be smaller and smaller. The pain that I feel, it's not that the pain will get smaller, it's that I will get bigger in front of it. And this is why I keep doing it, because the more I do it, I'm expanding. And the flashbacks is a minor thing in comparison to what I'm going through now.
Anyone else with any questions? Yeah.
I have a question. First, I wanted to say thank you for coming. I'm so sorry what you went through. And I wanted to know if you could just shed a little bit of light on what like day-to-day life is like in Israel right now. I was supposed to travel there on August 10th, and then because of everything that's going on and how everything is hiking, the airline stopped flying into Israel. So what you're talking about, like moving the country forward economically is a big challenge because people can't come in, but I wanted to go and bear witness and be a part of it and volunteer and do all that we can. So I'm really curious to know what life is like for people who are there on a day-to-day basis. If you can shed some light on that.
The daily basis is normal. That's the most absurd thing, and that's the most beautiful part of being Israeli, is that the world is collapsing, but we are still trying to do our best to live normally. And everyone has its own life, their own circle, our own box life with work and friends and family. Everyone is trying to grapple everyone they love and just maintaining their daily life. There are a lot of protests for bringing the hostages back. A lot of things that are like that. When the 6 hostages were killed, I think that nobody in Israel felt like they can do something, but everyone still went to work and tried to do the best that they can. And I think that this is actual fighting. I mean, that's an actual battle to still have your life while dealing the existential threats beyond our heads over and over every day. And while the war is still occurring, there'll always be an existential threat. But still, maintaining regular life like that, it's even harder.
To talk about college campuses, I think that is a burning question here. Like, what can the Jewish people, and I'm not Jewish, so as the allies, do when we face on college campuses, the protests, and they come and scream and burning the Israeli flags? What would be your message to all those who are attending Berkeley and all these college campuses where being a Jew is basically a sin today? How will you approach that?
It's a very hard sentence. Being a Jew is a sin. I was in Stanford at May of last year. That was the year that was now. There was a peace rally of Israel, and there were 2,500 people from the Bay Area that came to support with Israeli flags, and it was beautiful. And it wasn't just Israelis; it was Hindus and Chinese and Iranian women. It was huge, and I believe and I hope to believe that there will be a lot more of that. The most beautiful part of that rally that I was in was that we didn't. I mean, they had their own peace rally that we needed to shut down our own rally because they became too violent and they threatened us. But the best thing we could have done is to show unity and to show love. We were playing Eden Golan Hurricane for I think 6 bazillion times, and they're just singing the word out loud, hugging all with Israeli flags. And I think that if they're pointing a gun, we're showing flowers. This is exactly what we do, because nothing can break our unity, and that's bigger than anything. Also, shouting has a lot of void in it, and all the anger and resentment that they have is not infused with anything but being loud. We don't need to be louder. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you again for sharing. It's really powerful to hear in person, especially. I thought the line you mentioned is saying that you grew through your trauma, which I think is an incredibly powerful thing. Could you just talk a little bit about how that happened and what was that process like?
So that's an actual process that I've been studying for my tour that I'm doing now. I'm doing a tour with a full lecture about everything about post-traumatic growth. And there's an actual 4 stages of grief in dealing with trauma and post-traumatic growth. And I will not go over it very elaborately, but I will just say that when I hit rock bottom and there was nowhere I could look back on, and there was no further I could look, I couldn't understand who I was. Couldn't understand. All my belief system was shut down, and from that point and on, when it was too hard to understand where I'm heading to, I had a good company, thankfully, because the first thing that the Israelis understood is that if we have shared trauma, we should do it together. So they made therapeutic farms for nervous survivors, and I was there every day for about 2 months. And all I did was to be around people that's gone through the same. And those hard thoughts that I had about reality, about death, about all these intrusive thoughts without even understanding about death, was finally delivered to the right people that helped me to build a whole new belief system. And I believe that it's a lot about who I am as a person. I insist to look at the good things, and it has a lot to do with the fact that I chose to actively change myself. I actively chose to draw every day for 9 hours for this entire time, because I wanted to do something with myself, and I wanted to be in control over my symptoms and over my trauma. And I was trying to handle that, and I also find my way towards here. And so it's just a lot of small steps that led me where I'm at.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I was wondering, at 6:30 in the morning, did you have a sense that it was did you immediately know it was like as big as it was, or was there a sense? Did it take some time to figure out how how big the attack was? And then I was also wondering, and I don't want to make you like the voice of anything, but like in America, here in the diaspora, I think I at least hear like all sorts of, conspiracy theories, or there's lots of propaganda. And I guess I was wondering if you heard any of that, and if you could speak to, like, if you witnessed anything that, like, you think that comes from. Does that make sense?
Yes. First question. I didn't know how big it is up until I came home. No one understood what was going on, even about the kibbutzim and about the hostages. Nothing. We didn't hear anything, and I was pushing away every intel that I was heard because I couldn't deal with those questions or with this information. And I think that even now I'm not enough involved in the media, so I could see how big it is in front of my eyes. But I know enough. And about conspiracy theories, I'm trying to not dwell into it because it will make me in a bad, not good stage. So I'm trying to not have any envy or resentment or conspiracy. I'm trying not to look at the past as something I need to dig into, only to look at the present.
Anyone else? Yep.
Thank you so much for coming here and telling your story. I mean, I'm sure it's impossibly hard to have to recount everything over and over again. So thank you for doing that for us one more time. I know here in the US, obviously, we all hold great sadness for you and for everyone and all the hostages that had to experience things. And I think we all probably know some people living in Israel, or maybe they're our close friends or our family members. And I was wondering what you think that we can do to support them on a day-to-day basis, how we can be there for them, show them that we care. What are the things that we can do for these people that we know personally?
That you know personally?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
You can send them a letter from here, not a Facebook message, but a real letter.
And if prayers work for you, then prayers is a very good way. I think that, helping them is more about helping you. It's more about you trying to have control over things you're not controlling over, which is hard and almost impossible. And I see that you're speaking from heart. The only thing that I can tell you is that there's only this amount of control over your life, the moment your hands can reach. Yes. And all the rest is beyond your control. Unfortunately.
You said a little about you drew for 9 hours during the day, so I'd love to know if you're doing what kinds of things you draw and how did that help you in your therapy process?
So before October 7th, I never drew. I never even tried to draw. I was writing a lot. Poetry slams and songs and poems, that was my jam. But when October 7th happened, I couldn't write a single word on a blank sheet. It felt like my subconscious wouldn't let me. So the first time I drew, it wasn't even pretty, it was just something from Pinterest. That's something like it. And when I understood that it was a different form of pushing myself, and the first thing I wanted to do is to make everything black. So I bought a set of charcoals. I watched some YouTube videos of what to do and how to do it. And then I was just diving into everything I could about drawings. I copied from Pinterest at first, And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And after I was done with charcoals, I wanted to try watercolors, so I took watercolors, and then it gave me an opportunity to become a child again, because the moment you see colors, you're just like, and when you mix acrylics, your eyes just open. I mean, how can that happen? I didn't even know color theory before that. And also being into making, and also just being into creating something was my way to be present and to have control over my mind and soul. And this is why I did it every day. At first it was just doodling, then it was charcoal, and when I had enough courage, I stepped into color and into acrylics, and now I'm just doing everything. I'm not saying that I'm a good artist necessarily. I don't know what's good. I'm just saying that I give myself a room to explore and the chance to become better. Okay.
So something that's been on my mind since the 7th, as someone who has gone to these desert parties in the Negev, and 6:30 in the morning, the people who are awake, many of them because they spent the night on psychedelics, MDMA, LSD, psilocybin. I think it's safe to assume that it's pretty common at these festivals. So I can only imagine the terror of coming down on an acid trip and then having to deal with everything that was to be dealt with. Do you have any insight on that, people that you saw, or can you describe that feeling if you're willing to?
I feel like we are all a room that can understand psychedelics, so I will be straightforward. I did not do any drugs that day. So I think this is why I really felt, in comparison to my friends that did do psychedelics, and I felt like I was the only one who has the control over her life. And there were a lot of people back then that was on acid trip without coming forward towards terrorists, and without their friends, they would keep going forward. I have several friends that if they weren't supervised, I'm not sure they would be able to be alive now. And because of that event, I think we will learn a lot more about psychedelics. I can tell you it's from personal experience, because I wasn't there. I didn't do while it was the party, but I know that now there's like a completely new therapy treatment for people who did psychedelics at the party, where there's a lot of researchers that's being made for these things, because it's so gentle and you know exactly how your mind is being wired while doing shrooms or acid or whatever. So it's something that is now on the making.
We're coming up into a period where I think a lot of us will start to be reflecting on our Judaism, Rosh Hashanah, and looking for on the horizon. I think a lot of us are here reflecting about what it means to be a Jew in the last year. And I just want to hear from you how you're reflecting on your Judaism, and how you can speak to us in the States as how we're processing what it means to be a Jew, and just that a little bit.
My journey is going to be a very long one. I'm going to stay here up until the end of November, which means that October 7th, Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, and Kippur, I'm going to have here in the States, in the diaspora. I was always very secular. I didn't believe in God. God for me, I didn't believe in God. But now I feel like the question of being Israeli forced you to being Jewish, or is being Jewish forced you to be Zionist/Israeli? The fact that I know, if somebody told me that, then I can envision it in my mind that the most beautiful part of being Jewish is understanding that even 5,000 years from now, women are still lighting candles every shishi, and that is something you can really watch. And the fact that I am way bigger than what I am, because I am carrying with me generations of people being haunted because of their religion. Doesn't matter even how how much related I am to this religion, is something that I need to carry with me. I need to understand how big it is. It doesn't matter even if I believe in God or not. I just need to understand that I'm a part of something so much bigger than what I know, that I need to have some kind of humility in front of it. And I want to bring this humility to the next celebrations of every holiday that there will be. And because it's a huge thing. I mean, people will be was Jewish and will be Jewish for generations to come, and we are just a small hinge of reality. There was a woman called Etty Hilson. She was 27 when it's 1941 when the World War II began, and she said something that is in my brain all the time. We're nothing but empty vessels through which history flows. And this sentence is sitting on my chest for a long time now, because it also brings me to the fact that people were struggling from their Judaism for a long time now. We're not the only one.
All right, so I have one final question to wrap this up. What does the next chapter of Ofri look like? I don't mean to put you on the spot. What does the next chapter look like for you?
Next chapter for me is finishing this tour. Until November, I'm still on the making. I know now that this is my calling to keep doing that and to keep doing things for my country. So I will probably keep on doing this public things to Israel. But it will have some time, and I will have my big trip to India at some point, and I will need to have some break from all of it, because I want to be just a regular 22-year-old at some point in my life. So after November, there will be a small break, and then we'll see.
Works for me.
Thank you very much. I know there will be hummus. I was told from somebody.
Not for me. All right, I want to thank everyone for coming and spending your last minute Sunday night with us. I think this was really powerful, impactful, and I hope that we take these things seriously and we can change the dialogue.
Amen.
Thank you.